everyone. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be doing just a simple little bit of everything practice today. We will do a restorative yoga pose. We'll do some stretching and some strengthening. So if you have a yoga bolster at home, you can go ahead and grab that, and a blanket would also be handy. If you don't have a yoga bolster or a specific yoga blanket, don't worry, go ahead and grab a big cushion or bolster and any firm-ish blanket. Even this one isn't super firm. You could grab, I have another one over here that's a little bit more firm. This guy, anything that comes up so that it can make a nice roll and be rather thick. If you don't have a blanket that does that, a towel, like a large beach towel, works really well too. We're going to start off in a restorative yoga pose, we'll end in a restorative yoga pose, and in between we'll do a little bit of it all. You'll want first your blanket, and what you want to do is create that space with your blanket where your blanket is approximately the same height as your bolster or pillow prop, and you can adjust this as you go. And you want to take your pillow or blanket up to the very front of the mat, and then back behind that you are going to place your bolster. It's like your bolster or your pillow is the body of an eye, and this is the dot of your eye. There's some space in between. This massage table, one of my favorite restorative yoga poses. You're going to lie your torso down on your bolster or pillow. And you want to be supported by as much of the bolster as possible for your torso. And then your forehead will go on this folded up blanket. And you can adjust the height. You can have it the same height. You're welcome to have it a little lower if that feels good. You can fold that blanket prop into an appropriate height. If you can't quite get the right height and you need to go a little higher, you can always stack your hands underneath your forehead here as well. And then you just want to, as you come into this posture, relax. Find a comfortable space for your arms. Mine are in front because that just feels good, but you just can be back by your sides. Anywhere that's nice for your body. Become aware of the gentle pressure against your forehead. And see if you can draw your attention to the space between your eyebrows and slightly up. Center of your forehead, basically. And just see if you can focus your attention there for a second. Once you've found, attention-wise, that center point on your forehead, see if you can allow that area to relax, as if your forehead was growing smooth. And imagine from that center space of your forehead that that relaxation, that smoothness is radiating outward. Your ears and your jaw and the crown of your head start to relax. And your shoulders, your neck, your chest start to relax. And from the center of your forehead, like a ripple effect, a little bit of softness, a little relaxation keeps moving outwards through the body, the shoulder blades, the arms and the palms of your hands. Your upper back, your middle back, your lower back. Relax. And your hips, your thighs, your calves, and even the soles of your feet. Just embrace being relaxed. If you notice that part of your body begins to tense or is uncomfortable, start back at your forehead. Start back at the beginning and slowly relax from there until you reach the spot that needs your attention. So that you're not just focusing on what needs your attention, you're smoothing the way there. It's like you're paving the path to better ability to relax. Now take a deep, full breath in. Feel the back of your rib cage expanding. As you breathe out, feel your whole body again relaxing. Repeat that deep breath twice more. As you are ready, draw your hands underneath your shoulder. Go ahead and press yourself back and come to a child's pose for a few moments. And in your child's pose, you can come straight back and rest your forehead on the end of your pillow or bolster. If you like, you can take your knees a little wider. If you want even more support, you can draw that pillow or bolster a little bit between your knees and lie all the way down. It's perfectly fine to turn your head to one side if that feels more comfortable. Just want your hips to feel heavy towards your heels so you feel some space here in your lower back. Maybe a very gentle stretch there. Walk your fingertips in towards you. Roll your shoulders back. Take a moment to clear your props out to the side. And then come to seated somewhere near the center of your mat. And you could sit here either cross-legged or with your knees tented in front of you, whatever feels more comfortable today. Take a moment to settle into that seat. And when you're ready, you can start moving your spine. As you inhale, you'll draw your spine forward and your shoulders back, maybe even looking up a little bit. And then as you exhale, you roll your spine and your belly back and you round your shoulders forward. A little cow-cat action. Inhaling to come forward. And exhaling to rock back. Get your shoulder blades in on this as well. So you're squeezing the shoulder blades, the inner edges of the shoulder blades towards one another as you come forward. And you're pulling them away from one another, winging them open as you come back. If you're sitting cross-legged, just notice what foot is in front. If you're not cross-legged, you can ignore that part. The next time that you rock back to the back of the mat, your knees are going to come up if they're not already there. You're going to cross your ankles. And you can cross whichever ankle is in front. If you're sitting with your feet kind of already knees tented, you can go with whichever one is in front. And now notice which one is on top. Hold behind your thighs. Your feet are working to float. You're working to lift the center of your chest. We need to put your feet on the floor. Don't worry about it. But maybe you can float them up and start to feel your abdominals. Don't feel your abdominals at the expense of having to hunch forward. You want to be able to roll your shoulders back. No discomfort in your low back here. Maybe you pulse your feet a few times. Exhaling to lower down. And inhaling to lift. Exhaling. And inhaling. That feels good. Try a few more. And then you're going to take your knees a little closer to your chest and see if you can roll yourself all the way down to the floor. Bring the knees in. You can uncross the feet here at this point. Maybe rock a little bit from right to left, getting comfortable. And then from here, you're going to take your hands onto your kneecaps. Push your knees a little bit away from you. So you're in an upside down table, stacking your knees above your hips. Squeeze your inner thighs a little bit towards one another without moving your knees in. So your knees don't need to touch. They're staying stacked above their respective hips. But your inner thighs are imaginarily squeezing in towards one another. And you might just press the palms of your hands to the floor and stay right here and just feel that work in your abdominals. If you want a little more, you can interlace your fingers behind your head if you'd like and lift up. And you're just holding. That's all you're doing. Drawing your belly button towards the floor. One more breath. And then go ahead and release. Draw your knees back in towards your chest. Rock a little bit. Bring your hands behind your thighs. Extend your feet away from you. Roll yourself slowly back up to seated. Feel free to use your hands as needed. Cross the opposite in front if you were sitting cross-legged. And I think I forgot to say foot. Cross your opposite foot in front if you're sitting cross-legged. Knees tented, ignore that one. Then you come back to your cow-cat when you're ready. Inhaling the center of your chest forward. Exhaling to roll back. Not forgetting the shoulder blades. They're squeezing together on the back, and then they're pulling apart. One more like this. Your inhale is the same. As you exhale again, you gather your knees in. You cross the front ankle or the opposite ankle on top here. And you hold for a few breaths. You can be holding behind your thighs or letting your feet come to the floor if you feel your low back more than your abdominal muscles. You You can also place your hands behind you on the floor to help you lift your shoulders. That can be quite helpful. And maybe you pulse your feet down and up, down and up, really waking up the front of your body. It's not just your abdominals that are working, your quadriceps are working, your hip flexors are working, your back muscles, you can feel those working. Waking up the abs, which sounds so much better than working out the abs. Waking up is much nicer. All right. Go ahead and gather those knees in. You can uncross the feet and roll yourself all the way down to the floor. Feel free to use your hands to support you. This time, make you take the soles of your feet to the sky. You can hold your feet, your ankles, your calves, and your thighs as you rock a little bit from side to side. And then again, you're coming back to that upside down table, stacking the knees on top of the hips. And again, you might decide to stay right here, hands down by the sides. A little bit of a different variation to add on if you would like to on this side. This is very important. Be totally honest with yourself. Do not pretend in this one. You want your lower back to stay as close to the floor as it is right here with your knees stacked above your hips. Your belly button should remain just as engaged, so pulling down towards the floor. When you feel your back starting to lift, that's when you stop this movement. Inhale is right here. As you exhale, you start to dip your right toes slowly towards the floor. And you stop at the point where your back lifts. Don't go further than that. And then come back up. Dip the left toes down. Be totally honest how far you can go. And come back up. And the reason you want to be so honest as you alternate sides here is that if you go beyond that range of motion where your back starts to lift, then you're working the back muscles in a not very sustainable way. If you go just to that point where you are working your core muscles, you get a really nice abdominal exercise. Abdominal wake up. Do a few more on each side. And it's practice. You have to find that point. Sometimes you do end up going a little too far and you don't know, hey, next time, not quite so far down. Keep the abdominals engaged. If you were to touch your belly right now, it would feel maybe a little warm. It's working really hard. Maybe try one more on each side if you can. If you're starting to feel your lower back more than your abdominals, hug your knees towards your chest. And then we'll all bring our knees in. Maybe rock a little side to side. And then hands behind the thighs. You're going to kick those legs away from you and see if you can roll yourself up. Cross your feet, and maybe you can roll forward, coming to your forward fold. You may have to rock to the side to get there. And any way that you get there, eventually you're going to come to that forward fold. Feel free to place any kind of prop underneath your hands to make that floor less far away. Or you might join me in putting your forearms on your thighs if your low back still feels tender from that work. And just stick your tailbone to the back of the mat. Imagine that your belly is coming towards your thighs in an effort to create more space in your lower back. It's like a child's pose. You want your hip crease to push to the back of the mat here as you fold forward. So it's not about how straight your legs get, or stretching your hamstrings at this point is all about your spine. Maybe you nod your head, yes, I got it. Or you shake it, no, I need to explore a little more. Inhale, you can straighten your legs a little more if you would like. Find halfway lift, hands on the thighs or on the shins. And on your exhale, fold forward. Press your weight into the heels of your feet. Reach your belly button back towards your spine again so your core is strong as you roll to the sky. One smooth breath. If you like, you can sweep your arms up. As you exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Take a deep, full breath here. Relax your shoulders. As you inhale, Bring your arms up over your head. As you exhale, catch your left wrist with your right hand and lean to your right, stretching the left side of your torso. Inhale back to the center line. Grab your right wrist with your left hand and lean to the left, stretching the right side of your torso. Inhale back to the center line. As you exhale, let your hands come down by your sides. Inhale, lift your arms up over your head, press the palms of your hands together, and exhale, fold forward, forearms to thighs, hands to shins, blocks, or all the way to the floor. Take another deep breath in your forward fold again. Buns stick a little back behind you, so your spine is long. And then as you inhale, find halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands down underneath your shoulders. You're going to step your left foot to the back of the mat and walk your fingertips to frame your right foot. Leave your back knee lifted here. And see if you can set your right knee, your front knee, right over your front ankle here. Shrug your shoulders back and consider how this feels. What do you notice first? And there's no wrong answer. It's just an investigation. We're going to stay in our lunge position for a little while longer. If you notice that your belly and your thigh are very close together and it feels a little bit restrictive, you might consider moving your hands to the inside of your front foot, maybe taking your right foot a little further out to the right to create space. Alternatively, you could practice propping yourself up onto water bottles or blocks or books to create some space there. You might think, oh, the sensation at the back of my thigh feels really good. I like that strength sensation. Maybe I lower my torso down a little more. Maybe I feel like that's a little too much and I actually lift up a little bit more. I press more into my back heel to get more work, my back toes. Those are my left toes, heel is lifted. To get less work in the front thigh, a little more work in the back thigh. Make it more sustainable. Hopefully now you are noticing things because we've been here for a while. The duration builds some nice intensity. If you walked yourself into another position, walk yourself back to kind of that first position where your hands are framing your front foot. Plant your hands under your shoulders. You may have to move your foot around a little bit. And then you're going to see if you can step back to plank, which is quite difficult. So it's fine if you need to lift your hips or drop your back knee to get there. You're going to see if you can take your right foot back to plank. And you're going to hold your plank for a little while here. So if you like to hold a high plank, great. You can stay right here. If you like a low plank, knees to the floor. Another option would be your forearm plank, elbows on the floor. Knees again could be up or down. If your wrists tend to trouble you, the forearm plank is fantastic. Get just as much strength in your core, more strength in your shoulders, and no discomfort in your wrists. See if you can hold here for another 2 deep breaths, lowering down if you need to. Again, you'll start to notice more the longer you stay, more intensity, more sensation. Inhale here. And as you exhale, lower your knees. If they're not already there, untuck your toes and come all the way down to the floor. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders if they're not there yet. Tuck your elbows in. Tops of the feet press down. Inhale, cobra. You can stay really low, or you can lift up a little higher if you feel ready. Shrug your shoulders back. Enjoy a nice full breath here. And then lower yourself down. And push back. You could stay in table, or you could tuck your toes and come to downward facing dog. Pedaling your feet a little bit. Moving your hips from side to side. Enjoy a few deep, full breaths here. And here, you can let this be all about your legs if you want. We did some nice stretches for our back. So now we can stretch out our legs, lowering one heel, feeling the hamstrings, the calf muscles, the Achilles, and then the other. Once you're at, walk or step or hop your feet back to the front of the mat. finding your forward fold as you exhale. Inhale, find halfway lift. Exhale to fold forward. As you inhale, you roll yourself all the way up to the sky. And as you exhale, you bring your hands in front of your heart. Take a deep full breath here. If, like myself, you have a wall close to you that's going to inhibit you from moving side to side on your mat, you might come to face your long edge. Make sure that you have space to reach your arms out on either side of you here for a moment. And then feet about hip distance apart. As you inhale, bring your arms back up over your head. Imagine you're holding a big beach ball up here, so your hands are a little bit wider than the distance of your shoulders. This is your inhale. As you exhale, lean over to your left, stretch the right side of your body. So you can keep your hands the same distance apart. Inhale back to the center, and exhale to lean the other way. Inhale to center, exhale back over to the left. Into the center, and back to the right. We're going to do one more on each side. Go at your own pace. When you're ready, you inhale back to center. You press the palms of your hands together and you exhale them in front of your heart. If you changed orientation on your mat, we'll meet back at the top of our mat facing the short edge. On an inhale, you'll bring your arms all the way up. On your exhale, you fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, you're going to step your right foot back, stacking your left knee on top of your left hip. And again, we're going to stay here for a bit of time. I'm going to go for that intensity of duration. Nothing fast-paced today, but definitely a lot of heat. And as you stay here, you consider, how does this feel? To me, when my belly and my thigh press together, I feel like, it's hard to breathe. I don't particularly enjoy it. I like to come to the inside of my foot and take my left foot a little further out. That also enables me to drop my torso down a little bit if I want more sensation in my front thigh. And then you can, to a certain extent, customize this. It is a bit of strength work, so you will begin to feel your hamstrings, both on the front leg. And if you want to feel more on the back leg, you press into those right back toes and you lift your right hip a little bit. And you start to work the back of that right leg as well. Maybe you decide that some blocks or props underneath your hands would be advisable. If your hips are on the tighter side, that can feel really much nicer than trying to get really low here. And it's totally fine if this feels quite intense and you start to feel hot, maybe a little steamy, but it should not be painful in any part of your body. Challenging, yes. A little fatiguing, absolutely. But no sharp pain sensations. Those are a message. Back off. Don't do this. It's like the touching of the hot stove. Pull your hand back. Don't do that. Not a great idea. Take another deep breath. And then you're going to come back to your original orientation. So if you need to move your foot or your hands around so that your hands are underneath your shoulders, go for it. And you see if you can step back to plank. And maybe you can make it just lifting that left knee up and shooting it back. But chances are you might need to drop your back knee down and go to a table first, or to lift up your hands so you have more space. So make your way there. Plank. And you pick your hold. High plank. Low plank. Maybe you choose that forearm plank again. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Pick where you feel the intensity, but again, no pain in your body. Accommodate your unique structure and shape. And of course, anything transient that's going on in your body, fatigued wrists, shoulders. Add another deep breath. And then lower yourself all the way to the floor. This time, you're going to take your hands back by your side so the palms of the hands are facing the thighs. Press the tops of your feet down. As you inhale, lift the center of your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades towards one another. As you exhale, lower yourself all the way down. As you inhale, lift your chest, lift your right leg up. As you exhale, lower down. As you inhale, lift your chest, lift your left leg up. Exhale, lower down. We're going to repeat once more on each side. So inhale, chest and right leg up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, chest and left leg up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, chest and maybe both legs up. Exhale to release hands under the shoulders. You could go back to table pose or downward dog or rest on your belly or in child's pose, your choice. Go where you can breathe deeply. And feel free to move around a little bit, wherever you happen to be. It's also a good opportunity for a little drink of water if you're feeling the heat of those long holds. Ready, come back to your table or your downward facing dog. And walk or step or hop back to the front of your mat. Exhale to find your forward fold. As you inhale, find half lift. And as you exhale, come all the way back down. Inhale, roll all the way up to the sky, engaging your belly. Exhale, hands to the heart. We're going to come back into our side bending, so if you need to move around on the mat, don't hesitate to do so. Give yourself some space and set your feet about hip distance apart. Inhale your arms up as you're ready. Again, you're holding that imaginary beach ball, and you can do exactly what we did just a few moments ago and just lean side to side. Or as you lean over to the side on your exhale, you're leaning to the left, you lift your right foot, or vice versa if you went the other way. A little balance pose. And then as you inhale, you come back to the center line. Exhale, leaning to the other side. I'm leaning to the right, so maybe I lift my left foot up. And I come back to the center line, and you'll feel the work in your core, in your abdominal muscles, in your outer leg muscles, in your inner thigh muscles as they work to stabilize you. Maybe once more on each side. See how it goes. Inhale back to center. As you exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Make your way back, if you left it, to the short edge of your mat. Feet are hip distance. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. As you exhale, fold. Inhale, find that halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands, step your left foot to the back of the mat. Turn your left foot to face the long edge of the mat. Right foot is still facing the short edge. You're going to rainbow your left arm up into the sky. Feel free to be placing your right hand on a block or on your thigh. Lift yourself up. Warrior two. Aligning heel of front foot with arch of back foot. Open your arms out. Palms face the floor. Gaze out over your front fingertips. Again, we're going to hold here for a few moments. So feel comfortable in this position, first of all. As we stay, you might get less comfortable as you get a little heated. But you don't want to have discomfort in your kneecap. You don't want to have your hips feeling all weird and funky. Adjust. If your hips feel tight, you might turn your left foot to face more towards the left front corner of your mat. That's going to give your hips a little more space, a little more rotation. You might decide that you need to have your right knee a little bit behind your kneecap. And your work here is to see if that knee can stay stacked right over the ankle, so it's not coming to the outer edge of the mat or the inner edge of the mat, right to left. It's right in the middle there. And we just hold. And you start to feel the warmth of this position. You can imagine squeezing your inner thighs together. Lifting through the arches of your feet. If you can, you keep your arms out to the side, but if keeping your arms out to the side causes painful tension in your shoulders, please bring your hands to your hips. It's okay if your arms are just tired, but if you start to feel a lot of kind of discomfort up here in the neck, take a break. Even if it's only for a second or so, sometimes that's enough to relieve that painful pressure in the neck muscles. Still got a few more breaths here. Notice where you're feeling it. All right. On an inhale, turn your right palm to face the sky. Keep your right knee bent as you exhale. Lean back, left hand to left thigh, right arm overhead. Reverse your warrior. So your legs are staying stable, but you're coming back into the side bend. Maybe, just maybe, you turn your left palm up so it's facing your right palm, and then as you inhale, you come back to the center line and you're holding that giant beach ball. As you exhale, you lean forward, take the crease of your hips to the back of the mat. Maybe you stay here. This is the more challenging option. If that feels a little intense, drop your right hand or the back of your right arm to your right thigh. Not too long of a hold here because this is a much more intense pose. You've got about another 2 to 3 breaths. Feel free to change it up as we stay here. Remember, heat is good, intensity is good, pain is bad. Inhale back to the center. As you exhale, you're going to windmill that left arm all the way back to the front of the room, planting your hands down. Left foot turns to face forward. See if you can again step back to your plank. Holding here. Your variation. Pick which one works best for you. Keep your belly button engaged. It's lifting up towards the spine. Squeeze your inner thighs together a little bit. If you're on your hands, press into the pads of all of your fingertips to support your wrists. And then slowly lower to the floor. Untuck your toes. Inhale, find cobra. Spend a full deep breath here, really enjoy it. Exhale to release. Your choice, table or child, downward facing dog, any place that feels a little restful here. And you can tune in to what's happening in your body. You can listen for your breath. And as you're ready, come back to your table or your downward facing dog. And then walk or step or hop your feet back to the front of the mat. Find your forward fold. Exhale. Inhale, half lift. And as you exhale, release. Inhale, roll all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands come in front of the heart. Create space for your side bend, so if you need to move to the long edge of your mat, please join me. Inhale, bring your arms up, hold that imaginary beach ball first. This time, let's lean over to the right. And that might be plenty, but maybe you can lighten up on that left foot and extend it to the side. Inhale to the center. And exhale to go the other way. Inhale to the center. Exhale back to the side. You have 3 total side bends on each side. So you move at your own pace. Sometimes things go really smoothly, and sometimes things really don't go smoothly, so take your time. You wouldn't think that this would be such a challenging balance pose, but because it's quite dynamic, it is. When you're ready, bring your hands back to the center. Exhale the hands in front of your heart. Make your way back to the short edge of your mat if you left it. Feet hip distance apart. Inhale your arms overhead. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale, half lift. As you exhale, you step your right foot back. Your right toes are going to turn to face the long edge of the mat. The left hand could stay on the floor or on the thigh or on a block outside that left leg. And then the right arm windmills you to the sky and you come all the way to standing. And as you come to standing, you're aligning the heel of your front foot the arch of your back foot in this really long T shape. And you're stacking front knee more or less over the front ankle. And that's up and down, but also remember side to side. And if, for a lot of us, our hips are tight, our knee might track to the inside, it can be quite helpful to turn that back foot to face a little bit to the right front corner of the mat, and that can move that front knee a little bit into a better alignment. So play around with what you need to do to get that front knee into a comfortable space where you're strengthening the knee joint in a functional way. You can always also shorten your stance if you feel quite fatigued. Bring your feet closer together. Maybe your arms can come out to the sides, palms face the floor. And you just start to feel, notice, where do I feel it first? Is it because that area of my body is tired from something I've done this week or today? Is it because that area of my body needs a little more strength work? I haven't used that part of my body, but it's really challenging there in my thigh or my shoulder or my glutes, my buttocks. Maybe it's a really weird area that you feel like the outside edge of your ankle here. It's a big one when you start practicing yoga. That outer ankle in these poses, we don't use that very often. It can be quite intense back there. And just become aware of what's happening. And of course, sometimes you just start to become aware of the fact that your body is getting warmer, even though we're not moving. Lifting through the arches of your feet. You've got another couple breaths here if you can make it. When you're ready, flip your left palm up and fold to the back of the mat. Reverse your warrior. We're not staying too long here. You see if you can keep your front knee over your front ankle, and you can be looking up or down, see what feels comfortable and stable. And if you feel quite strong, you can turn your right palm up to face the left palm. So you're holding your imaginary beach ball and you lift your imaginary beach ball up. Lots of core work. And maybe you take your imaginary beach ball forward. And you might be able to hold your beach ball here if you're not already tired from all of the abdominal work. And maybe you decide, oh yeah, I need a little support, left arm to left thigh or left hand to left thigh. See how it goes. Switch it up. Another 2-ish breaths here. Not too long. The hip crease is going back. The crown of the head is going forward. On an inhale, you come back to the center. And on your exhale, you take that right arm and you windmill it all the way back down to the floor. Right foot turns to face forward and you step back to your plank. And this is your last little bit of intense strength work. So if you've got any gas left in the tank, use it here. Belly button to spine. Shoulders back. Inner thighs squeezing together. And then as you're ready, lower all the way to the floor. Inhale, lift your chest a little bit, slide your elbows under your shoulders. We're going to go for Sphinx pose. Palms of the hands could be on the floor or towards one another at the front of the mat. Again, press the tops of your feet to the floor. Lift the center of your chest. Imagine taking your shoulders back so you stretch your belly and your chest and your shoulders. And we are going to hold here for a few breaths. You can continue to look straight forward, or if you'd like to get a little extra stretch into your neck, you can tuck your chin towards your chest here. Keep your shoulders rolling back. Maybe you look a little over to your right, keeping your chin really close to your chest, bringing your chin towards your right shoulder. And then you bring that chin close to the chest, then back over towards the left shoulder. And you can kind of rotate your head from right to left a few times if that feels good. Loosening the back of the neck. Lower your torso down, bring your hands under your shoulders, and press yourself back to child's pose. Knees a little bit wider, fingertips crawling forward. hips heavy towards the heel. Press your fingertips into the floor. Lift your forearms and your forehead, and you're going to take your right arm and thread it underneath your left armpit. And you can look with your head underneath your right armpit, or you can put your forehead back on the floor. If having your hips all the way back does not work for you, you can always take this into a table pose, threading the right arm underneath the left armpit, your preference on what feels good there. You just want to feel a stretch here on the back edge of your right shoulder. Feel free, if you'd like to go a little deeper, to take your left hand around behind your back. You're ready, you're going to unwind, unthreading that right arm, and now you'll take your left arm underneath the armpit, adjusting as needed your hip position. You can be again in child's pose or table pose. If you like, in either position, you can take the left arm behind your back. A little stretch for the front of the opposite shoulder there. I think I might have said the wrong arm, but it's your right arm that's behind your back here, and your left arm is underneath you. Whatever arm is the not squished arm can go behind your back. You're ready, go ahead and unthread. Here, come back to your child's pose or your table pose. If you're in child's pose, you might just rest your forehead to the floor. If you're in table pose, you can move around a little bit, cow-cat, or circle your hips a few times. Just anything that's gentle and pleasant to your body. And then you're going to make your way to seated. And if sitting on your heels feels good to your body, you can sit on your heels. If you don't like sitting on your heels, your body does not appreciate it, you can sit cross-legged or with the legs out in front of you. You can see what feels the best right now. Take your hands behind your hips, ankle them in the way that feels good to your wrists. They're about shoulder distance apart. Lift the center of your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades towards one another and come into this little back bend. And if that feels good, you just stay here, maybe a little gaze up towards the ceiling. If you want a little more, you can walk your hands a little further behind you and maybe even a little closer towards one another, so towards the center of the mat as you lift the center of your chest. As you're ready, soften your belly and walk your hands back in towards you. I like to press into the backs of my hands here just to release the wrists a little bit. And then we're going to come into a forward fold. If you haven't already, extend your legs out in front of you. If Paschimottanasana feels good, folding forward over your legs with no support, you can do this with no support. But recommended tonight, because we are going to spend a little bit of time, is to use your props again. So you could use your props in a couple of different ways. If you're pretty comfortable here, and maybe there's just some small discomfort in your lower back, you might just want to sit up onto a blanket, legs in front of you. If you sit up on the blanket and you're like, oh, there's still quite a bit of discomfort in my hips, my lower back, that's a tense area for me, you might decide to place your bolster underneath your knees. And you can go, if you have a bolster low side, or you can also go high side, so that you're almost sitting back with your knees in towards you as you fold forward. Wherever you decide to be, if you want to use props or no props, you are going to fold out over your legs. And if you have a really high prop underneath your knees, this is where a couch cushion is a good substitute, especially for the bolster, because you get this high side if you want it. You can even place your hands onto blocks or the seat of a chair here. And all you want to do is just feel some pleasant stretching in your back, in your spine. So you might need to be quite propped up, a little propped up, or not propped up at all if you're quite flexible in these areas. See where you need to go and customize. You can always have the blanket but no bolster, or the bolster but no blanket. Take your time, because we haven't started our hold yet. So if you got into position, you're not comfortable, go ahead and switch. When you find a position that feels tenable, again, it's fine if you feel the intensity of the stretch as we stay here, but no pain. The other thing to avoid, especially in these stretchy positions, is if you start to get tingly sensations, pins and needles. That means you're compressing a nerve or reducing blood flow. That is not a good sensation. Take a moment and adjust. Allow yourself to be relaxed in this forward fold. Maybe chin a little bit towards the chest. And although our primary focus is our lower back and mid-back, feeling some action there, you're probably going to feel something in your hips and your hamstrings. If you reach your hands forward, you'll feel your shoulders, really anywhere on the back of the body. This is the focus of this stretch. As you are ready, just slowly and gently take your time to get out of this posture. Walk your hands in, roll your shoulders back, and move. If you have a prop underneath your knees, move that out of the way. If you want to stay sitting up on a blanket, you can do that here. See if that feels comfortable, or you can move the blanket out of the way as well. Re-extend your legs in front of you. You're going to draw your right knee in towards you, and you can practice with the sole of your right foot on the inside of your left foot, best if your hips are really tight. You can practice with the sole of your foot on the outside of your left leg if your hips are medium flexible. If you want even a little more, you can fold the sole of your left foot towards your right buttock. Inhale here, and as you exhale, turn towards that right knee. You can hug it with your arm, take your arm to the outside, and find a little twist. Relax your shoulders and your jaw. Inhale. Come back to the center line. Stretch your legs back out in front of you. Give them a little wiggle, a little shake if you need to. You'll come to the other side. Foot could be on the inside of the right leg or the outside of the right leg. Or you could fold the right foot in. See where you feel stable. Inhale there. And as you exhale, you twist to your left. Then you orient your arm in the way that feels good. I like to hug my knee. That always feels best. Some people like to take their arm to the outside of the leg. That's what feels best. It is very much a personal decision. center line. Relax your shoulders a little bit, stick your legs in front of you. Give them maybe a wiggle, little shake. And then if you're sitting on your prop, you're gonna move it out from underneath your buns because you're gonna need your props to finish off here. You'll want to, again, fold your blanket into a bit of a brick. You can also use a yoga brick or a couple of books here if your blanket is not up to the task. And then you will create just a gentle ramp with your bolster or your pillow. And if you have a really kind of floppy pillow, don't hesitate to kind of ramp your blanket here as well underneath. So you could be folding the top of your blanket a little bigger to support a gentle curve where you don't have a big dip in the center. So that's fine as well. You just want to have maybe a little bit more elevation underneath your head. You're going to sit with your tailbone right snuggled up against that bolster or pillow and lie yourself back. So your spine is supported here. Feel free to place an additional roll underneath your neck or pillow underneath your head if you need. Perhaps consider letting your arms come out to the sides. And we come back to our restorative work. Align your legs in the way that feels most comfortable for your body. I'm knocking my knees in, but you could be extending the legs long if you want, or doing soles of the feet together. Do 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Into position. Draw your attention back to that central space on your forehead, right between your eyebrows and slightly up. See if you can remember the sensation of gentle pressure there from the beginning of our class. We did at the beginning, so too shall we do for the end. Relax that central space in your forehead. Let it grow smooth. And allow that sensation to radiate through the rest of your body. Out to your ears, up to the crown of your head, jaw, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your elbows, your hands, through your chest, your belly, your hips, through your thighs, your calves, and the soles of your feet. Little waves of relaxation washing across the body. Please stay here. 3 minutes would be good. 5 minutes would be better. 10 minutes would be lovely. Stay as long as you can in relaxation. When it is time to leave relaxation, you take a deep breath in and a big sigh out. And you wiggle your fingers and you wiggle your toes. Maybe you like to place the soles of your feet on the floor and sway your knees a little from right to left. Eventually rolling all the way over to one side. Rest there for a few breaths before making your way to your most comfortable seated position today. Feel free to use any of your props. Let your hands come in front of your heart. We'll close with our deep breath together. In through nose, out through mouth. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice and your time. Have a wonderful